If you're thinking about making a move to the Cleveland area in this next year of 2025, I wanted to get on here and kind of give you what a local's perspective is, both the good, the bad. I'm going to take off my realtor cap and give you my honest opinion of this area. I am going to be 40 in May of 2025, and again, I've been in Northeast Ohio my whole life, so I just wanted to take a moment and give you the true insights of this area, of everything that it has to offer, everything it doesn't have to offer, all the negative sides of things, and just give you that good overall look, because if you are moving to this area, it's a big change and you really want to know what you're getting involved with, because let's face it, relocating is not easy. It is extremely stressful, extremely overwhelming, and you want to make sure that you're making the right move. So I'm going to let you know what it's like living in the suburbs around the Cleveland area, so you have at least a better idea of what you can expect before you make the move and really just get loaded up with unnecessary stress and headaches and just a bad experience all around. What's up, guys? Anthony Esposito with eXp Realty, your local real estate expert right here in the Cleveland, Ohio area. And if you are one of those people who are relocating, or you're looking to buy or sell in this area, even if you're gonna invest, contact me directly here. I have people just like you reaching out to me every single week, using me as a resource and also using me to help them find that dream home or just navigate the real estate market here in the Cleveland area. You could also go in the description below and use one of the methods that I have listed there. So I want to start off talking about the weather, because if you're coming from a warmer climate area that may have, a really hot season, or, like a cool season. I have a family member who lives in Fort Lauderdale, and it's like AC on, AC off is like the two seasons that are down there. You need to be prepared that you are about to enter into a climate where we have 4 seasons, but all 4 seasons can actually happen in one day, it seems, at times when it's making the shifts. Summers here are absolutely gorgeous. It can get hot, it can get humid. That is the big thing here, is it does get pretty humid. But for the most part, we're talking mid 80s, upper 80s. We'll get the stretch into the 90s. Sometimes it'll have a feel of like 100, 105. But typically that might only be like a week. For the most part, we're averaging right around mid to upper 80s with some humidity. So it's nothing too crazy, but it's also nothing, that's imperfect in a sense. And it can get to a drought where, you're going to have the brown grass. It's just going to get, really dry. We'll have those longer droughts at times where it doesn't rain. Now, when the rain comes in spring and fall, it's going to rain. It's going to be cloudy. It's going to be gloomy at times. And it kind of feels like it's never going to end. And it's almost one of those situations where you're like, I just want some sunshine, especially fall going into the winter time. That is really gray, really gloomy. And then, of course, your daylight is lessening. So, it's getting down to where like the sun sets at 5 o'clock, and some jobs, when I was in construction, I would wake up, it's dark. I get home, it's dark. It really is not fun for me, because I'm one of those people that do enjoy the sunshine. Now, with the fall, like the colors of the leaves and everything, with them changing, it is beautiful looking. If you're into the scenic look of things, then fall is going to be your main time of year to really get like those nice pictures. And a lot of the people around here, they really love fall. I know a lot of people personally where it's their like sweatshirt weather or their sweater weather, and it's something that they just enjoy. Again, me personally, I love the summers, I love the heat. And I get it. There's multiple seasons, and here I am in Ohio for someone who loves the summer, but my family's been here. Now, as far as the winters, this is where it can get a little tricky and a little ugly, especially if you're coming from those warmer climates, California, Arizona, Texas, Florida, where you don't really see much of a winter. Like your guys' winter is 50 degrees is freezing to you, where that is a heat wave in our winter up here. The snow, because we have Lake Erie right there, it comes over the lake, and if the lake's not frozen, which, it's December of 24 that this video is being recorded, Lake Erie's not frozen, and there's been a lot of storms that have come over the lake. It creates the lake effect snow, and it can hammer us like no other. I personally live in Brunswick. It's about 30 minutes south of Cleveland, and we're considered the secondary snow belt. Sometimes it feels like, even in this area of Brunswick and Medina, that we're a primary, just depending on the system that moves through. But you get up closer to the lake, and it's not uncommon where you get 3 feet of snow dumped on you, what feels like a blink of an eye. So it makes the driving conditions very dangerous. It kind of shuts things down a little bit. If you don't have a bigger vehicle with all-wheel drive or 4x4, it makes it extremely difficult to get through sometimes. And quite honestly, if you're someone that doesn't like the snow, it's going to drive you nuts. Again, that's me. 15 years of construction, working in the winter almost every single year, all day long. It got me to a point where I can do without winter whatsoever. So that's kind of the weather that goes on here, and just be prepared for it because it's a completely different driving aspect. I know places like South Carolina has been hit with some, snow before, and it's like everything shuts down. It's almost like a ghost town because there's no plows down there. They don't have the salt to clear the road. Up here, it's a different story. You live in Northeast Ohio and it snows. A lot of jobs, they're expecting you to still come in. You just have to adjust your commute time, and something that could be like a 20-minute drive, it could turn into an hour or an hour and a half drive. Now, another thing I want to talk about is the community aspect of the different suburbs in the area. There are so many great suburbs to Cleveland itself. Just last year, Rocky River was named the top Cleveland suburb. That is an amazing place to live. You got places like Solon that has the #1 school district in the state. There's other desirable places like Brunswick and Medina area, which also have great school districts to them. There's so many that I can list off. You really got to do your homework, but the nice thing about the communities is everybody does a really good job of, and by everybody, I mean the cities. They do a really good job of, providing different activities. Obviously, you get into some communities where there's, let's use Grafton, for instance, or Litchfield area. Those are more of the township, kind of old school. They'll have a lot of farms in the area where, they don't have a lot that goes on, but they're parent city that they are right by. So Litchfield, for instance, it's right next to Medina. And Medina Square and what Medina City does on the square itself is almost second to none of all the suburbs around, with all the activities that they do. They got the Christmas lighting. They do a farmer's market throughout, the spring to the fall. The list goes on. There's a lot of activities that they do and they provide, and the communities themselves are really tight knit. There's going to be some people where you don't even speak to them and they're your neighbor. It's their human nature. But overall, the communities are great. They have a lot of amazing activities. They're there to help you. And it's just overall like a nice home feeling. Now, one of the big things that a lot of people are concerned about, especially when you're relocating like you are in your situation, is like, what's the cost of living? And overall, Ohio is like 11% below the national average for an overall cost of living, which is really good. But to bring it more on a personal level and give you a better insight, instead of going off of, like a lot of different averages that are out there. So like gasoline, filling up your tank with gas right now. I don't know what it's like in all the other states. Here in Northeast Ohio, again, it's December that I'm filming this in 2024. Gas is ranging anywhere from like $2.90 to $3.20 per gallon for your 87, your unleaded. So the fuel is relatively cheap. I get it. There might be other areas that are much cheaper than us, but I do know places like California, New York, they're much higher. And we have a lot of people, according to the data, that are moving from those two states coming into Cleveland. Now, the other nice thing is like with groceries, again, it really depends on what you're going to eat, how your eating habits are, how big your family is. For me, I have 3 little kids. It's, there's 5 of us total. And I'd say every 2 weeks is roughly about $700 for groceries for a family of 5. And we typically shop Costco and Meijer in this area are the 2 places that we shop. And it's, so you figure for a family of 5 for us, and my kids are 8, 5, and 3, to give you an idea. It's not teenagers that are eating much more. So it's about $1,400 every single month for groceries. And then you factor in like utilities. My house is 2,100 square feet. Electric is pretty typical, $150. Sometimes it'll get to $200 in the summer, just depending on how much the AC is having to run. Gas is, let's call it $80, $100. Again, it just depends on how much that furnace is running during the winter. Water is based off of usage, obviously how much you're going to use it. But, utilities are relatively cheap. Internet here for high-speed fiber that I have is like $80, $85. So it's relatively inexpensive. At least that's the way I feel. I'm not sure how it is wherever you're watching from or how your state is, but that's my averages. And then with like homes, the nice thing about the Cleveland area is the cost of homes. So if you look at places like California, where the cost of living is really high, you may get a 1,800 square foot home, and I'm just throwing a number out there. It might have $1 million price tag on it, for instance. Again, my house located in Brunswick, just under 2,200 square feet, and it's about $400,000 for a house, and mine was just built in 2019. So the money goes further for the homes. We don't have like a huge like luxury market. They're out there, believe me, they're out there. But a $500,000 house goes a long way. You can get a 3,000 square foot house for $500,000. And it could have 4 beds, 3.5 baths. It may have a finished basement. It depends on the location itself. $1 million home here in Cleveland, that is a big house. Especially depending, again, on location, because location plays a huge factor. But $1 million home, it's not uncommon to see those with 5 or 6 bedrooms and 5 or 6 baths. Talking, 4,500 square feet, 5,000 square feet. That's just the, cost of that living that we have here. So that is a huge factor that plays into, again, the money situation. And especially now, like after COVID, there's so many people that are able to work remote. So if you're one of those lucky people, you may be able to relocate to this area, but say, you're working in New York where the cost of living is much higher, so your pay is that much higher. Well, your money just increased by that percentage because of our cost of living being so much less. So you could afford much more, and you'll be surprised seeing some of the homes of what you can get for that, $400,000 or $500,000, $600,000 price range, where other places it's not even feasible to have like a house my size for $400,000. So that is a huge driving factor of why I personally stay in Ohio right now, is the cost of living. I look past that weather of the brutal winters that we could have. Now, I do have to tell you the huge negative that all of us locals complain about. And if you move here, it'll become a huge negative for you, is all the road construction that has to be done. If you're not used to a lot of road repair or road construction because of where you live, where you're not having these harsh winters with all the salt, you're about to get a rude awakening. It pretty much happens year-round, nonstop. And the official kickoff that we call it is barrel season, which is basically spring to fall. That's when road construction really ramps up. And trying to get into the major city of, Cleveland or Akron, it can turn into a nightmare. I'm not going to lie. It gets very frustrating. There's accidents left and right that end up happening because of it. And it's just a headache if you have to commute for work, because the commute going into Cleveland and coming out of Cleveland, just be prepared to be, crawling a lot of times, bumper to bumper. It is nothing like Los Angeles, nothing like that. Thankfully, our main highway is 3 lanes, and that is it. But it does get congested and cause, say, a 20-minute drive to turn into a 45, 50-minute drive. And then you add in the construction itself, that's all slowing up. You're getting detoured every which direction. It's almost like that saying, you got to go around your ass to get to your elbow. That's what it turns into. I promise you that will become a huge negative moving here. And it's just something where you get used to it. You'll still have road rage. Like that. That's going to happen. You're going to have road rage, plain and simple. But you get used to it. It gets a little bit easier. I will say, though, one of the big things, if you're coming here and you have a family or you're going to raise a family and start, it's overall a great area to raise kids. The majority of the suburbs have a low crime rate. There is amazing first responders all around. I cannot speak highly of the multiple cities where I know first responders, and they do such a tremendous job. And the crime rates being down are amazing. And there's a lot of excellent schools within the Cleveland area. Again, Solon is a suburb of Cleveland. It's the #1 school district in Ohio, second to none, and this is every single year. Rocky River, another great school district. Highland is out of Medina. That is an excellent school district. There is a lot of, we'll call it top 50 schools in Ohio that are in Northeast Ohio. So the education here is tremendous. There is a lot of great athletic programs depending on which school you go to, and then the different STEM schools that are out there that thrive in that. The kids, my kids, their school that they go to, they have one of the best STEM programs in the area, and I've seen it personally with my kids, the growth that they have had. So if you are starting a family, Northeast Ohio definitely is a place to look, or if you have a family, and just consider the area. Even though we got the lake and we can get the bad weather with the winter and the snow, but if you're looking for a great education for your child or a great athletic program, I highly suggest just take a look at Northeast Ohio and really dive deep into the school districts to see what they have to offer. So I will say, overall, Northeast Ohio, the Cleveland area, it is a great place to live. There are negatives that are gonna happen. The weather is a big one. If you are considering making the move here, or if you're just relocating in general, let me know in the comments below if you want a guide, checklist, whatever you want to call. I got one drawn up to kind of give you just that sense of, okay, we got this done. We got this done. It's step by step, and it kind of breaks things down because relocation is a huge deal. I personally haven't had to deal with it, but I have had clients who have relocated, so I do have experience with knowing the headaches that come with it and the amount of pressure that comes with it because you're trying to find your next home and you want to make the right choice. I'd love to help you out like I have many others that are reaching out to me every single week. If you have any questions or you need help through the process, don't hesitate to contact me here. I'd be more than happy to help you out. Just be a resource. Even if you don't use me to buy a house, I just want to be a resource. Try to make it as easy as possible for you. If you got any value from this, be sure to hit the like button. It's greatly appreciated. And if you haven't already, click subscribe, turn notifications on so you can stay up to date on all my videos that I have coming your way and I can continue to be a resource for you.